A little video on the BeG pruner. This happens to be a model VM. We're going to do a maintenance walk around. The cutter bar has grease fittings located on the front and the back. Also, there's another grease fitting right in here. I don't know if you can see it or not in there. Maybe a light. You know, there's a grease fitting in there. We've got a grease. We've got our grease fittings all along the cutter bar. Also, in here, there are two spots we have to hook an oiler to. Okay, I've got my assistant helping me today. This is part of the oiler system for the cutter bar. Just put regular oil in there, like motor oil, hydraulic oil. He's going to go ahead and put it together. You just put it and click, and then take the hose, and there's two spots to hook it in. You just push it in, and then pull up on this handle. And if you watch the hose, the oil shoots up into there and oils that cutter bar. Do that about 5 times on this one. And if you watch, the handle goes down by itself. See how it goes down? Now we're going to stop and we're going to hook it to the other one. So you have to push in on that fitting, and then it pulls out, and then push it in the next one. And then just pull up on the handle, let it go down. Do that 5 or 6 times on each one, and that's all it takes to lubricate the cutter bar. One more time, we're going to do it on a short deal. And then to release it, again, you have to push in on that little tan piece or white piece, and then just pull the hose out. Just like that. That's all there is to it. I would do that once a day, like in the morning, before you start using it. And then there's I don't remember exactly how many grease fittings are on there, but they're well marked, top and also on the bottom. And then don't forget the grease fitting on what they call the bell crank. It's inside that little hole. This is the power pack unit on the back. This is what powers all the hydraulics. The John Deere tractor does use nothing of the hydraulics. You've got your PTO shaft powering it. You have grease fittings here and there, just like your standard PTO shaft. This is your hydraulic sight gauge for the oil level of the hydraulics. Also, there's a temperature gauge built into it. With the unit completely retracted down in all positions, you should see oil about halfway up the sight gauge. I would not overfill it, because once the oil warms up, oil does expand and it might overflow out the vent. So I would recommend it keeping half full or a little bit less. You must see oil in the sight gauge though. There is your parking stands. If you go to take it off, you can put that down. Here's your oil cooler, which is thermostatically controlled by a switch here. So once the oil temperature reaches a certain level, it will turn the fan on automatically. This control valve here controls the cutter bar itself. Here is the oil filter that filters all the oil for the whole system. You have 2 pumps. One pump runs the cutter bar and one pump runs the hydraulics. So the big pump runs the cutter bar. This little pump runs the hydraulics up and down on the machine. Here is your oil fill. Again, your oil check is over there for the model BeG 4000 power pack. Going to do an inside the cab. We've got the model BeG, the 4000, with the cutter bar mounted on it. And we've got the joystick here inside the cab. Now that functions everything. It's all electric over hydraulic. So on the John Deere here, we're going to go ahead and start the tractor. And then you want to engage the PTO. Here we're going to use, they have what they call 540E and 540. We don't really need a lot of power to run this because it's run off the 3-point hitch in the back, but there's a power pack on the back of the tractor. So what we're going to do is we're going to leave it in 540E. That way you can run the engine slower. We're going to engage the PTO. Engage the PTO. Now the hydraulics are live. So you've got your function. This switch tilts the head. Okay. The next switch over, this one here, moves the unit up and down. This one here, the next switch here, allows the unit to go in and out, telescope in and out, okay? So that telescopes the unit in and out. The last two switches here, they're thumb buttons, okay? This is up, so the unit actually goes up, and then down. The bottom one allows it to go down, okay? So now you go up and down. Now we're tilting it a little bit more. Now, to turn the unit on, that's what this switch here is. It's a 3-position switch. So you have position 1, which is pushing it forward, actually turns the cutter bar on. I don't know if you can see the cutter bar moving. Cutter bar is moving. Okay. Now, again, it's 3 positions. So position forward, cutter bar on. Pull it back, cutter bar is off. There, when you pull it back, it's spring loaded. Now, why it's spring loaded, it actually runs the cutter bar in reverse. So if you get a branch that's stuck in the cutter bar, you just reverse it. And then it will just shear it back the other way. So again, push the switch forward, forward, running the cutter bar. Stop, neutral, reverse. So like I say, if you get a branch stuck, just pull the switch back, run it backwards for a few minutes, for a few seconds, let go, it springs it back to neutral. Other than that, that's about it. It's simple. Shut the PTO off, shut the tractor off. Last thing we want to cover is removing the cutter bar. It's very simple. As you can see, just take a forklift, put a pallet on it, get underneath the cutter bar, support it. You got to kind of figure out where to balance the cutter bar at. Just pull back on these, uncouple your hoses. They're just a snap couple. Just uncouple them. All right. Uncouple your hoses first. Remove your bolts and nuts, and then just lower the cutter bar right on down. It's very simple to do. 5-10 minutes, one guy can do it. It's easier if 2 guys, because one guy running the forklift, one guy doing the steadying of the machine. But yeah, very simple.